my name is Hope Peterson, and today I'm going to talk to you about budgeting and managing your money. This is my audience.
Hi.
Today I will discuss some techniques to help you manage the money that is available to you so you can determine the best allocation of your financial resources. Before you start tracking your finances, you should make sure you have a place to record your budget. You can either find a good template online or create your own with the appropriate categories. I went to consumer.gov under the budgeting tab to find this template, which will work well for most individuals. The next step in creating a budget is to gather up all of your paperwork, like so. This information includes your bank statements, utility bills, pay stubs, credit cards, bills, loan statements, and receipts for the past few months. The more information you can gather, the better. Once you have assembled all of your paperwork, you should be able to identify your net income that is available to you each month. Net income is the amount of money you have coming in after all taxes and deductions have been withheld. Once you have identified your income, you can start tracking your spending. It is a good idea to categorize your spending so you can determine where adjustments need to be made. Each category of your expense should be identified as either fixed or variable expenses. Fixed expenses are those expenses which need to stay the same amount each month, such as rent, car payments, and student loans. Variable expenses are those which can change from month to month, such as gas, groceries, or certain utilities. Looking at your bank or credit card statements is a good place to start when trying to figure out all of the expenses you have for each month. These statements are likely to show most of the expenditures that you have on a regular basis. You can typically get a good estimate of your expenses by taking a 3-month average based on your receipts, bank statements, and credit cards. Once you have determined all of your income and expenses for a 1-month period, you should total your income and expenses to see if your income is higher than your expenses. Your ultimate goal is to have your income and expense categories equal, which means that all of your money has been allocated to a specific expense or goal. If your income is higher than your expenses, you're off to a really good start. If you make more money than you were spending each month, you will be able to save money or pay down debt. On the other hand, if your expenses are higher than your income, you are overspending and will need to look for ways to reduce your spending. Once you are able to cut your expenses so that you have more income than expenses, you should look at paying down any debt you owe. Experian.com recommends that you should tackle your debt with the highest interest rate first, since it is the most costly. While you are paying down your debt, you should also make room in your budget to set aside a small amount for each month's savings. This will create a reserve that you can draw from if you have an emergency. Once you have paid down your debt, you should focus on saving a greater amount of money for your future. After you have set your budget up, you should check it often to make sure you are staying on track. You should also do a thorough review every few months to make sure there are no adjustments that need to be made. This will ensure you are staying on the appropriate path. Now I will demonstrate a sample budget I created by using the template I showed you earlier. I put together this budget based on my expectations of income and expenses once I graduate from college. As you can see, the first thing I did was decided on the month in which I would begin my budget. Next, I estimated the net pay I will receive if I find a job making $50,000 per year. Then, I moved the expenses section and entered amounts for housing expenses, assuming a mortgage of $800 per month. Next, I entered a reasonable amounts for food expenses. As you can see, the next category was transportation, so I estimated a reasonable car loan amount as well as expenses to go with the car. On the next page, the first category was health expenses, so I entered an amount based on previous expenses I have incurred. next section was personal and family, so I made estimates based on the categories I currently use. Next, I came upon the finance section, and I don't feel like I will have expenses in that category, so I left that section blank. Finally, I have estimated that I will have student loan payments and some other expenses that may come up with each month. When I looked at my income minus my total expenses, I had $90 more in my income than I did in expenses. So I allocated that remaining $90 to savings. This resulted in a balanced budget since my income then equaled my expenses. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation and you are now in a better position to create your budget of your own. Thank you.